Sup everyone, this is Karak with ACG, and I'm cock-lock and ready to rock as I bring to you the review for Alekhine's Gun, which is basically another name for Death to Spies 3. Now, Death to Spies has always been a series, hard on the difficulty but easy on the system specifications. Never a looker, but titles with a unique focus on stealth gameplay that at times, and though rough as hell, could actually give Hitman titles a little reason to look over their shoulders. Now, this title in particular has been taken over by developer and publisher Maximum Games, and is out on March 1st for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and on March 11th for Windows. Let's see how Gun does, shall we? As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's the review for Alekhine's Gun. Adjustment Bureau, the video game, 2 hats at all times because 2 hats means you have twice the brains, and shivving to show love. Graphics are up first. Remember that first time you were truly surprised by how a game looked, whether it was a B title or a smaller digital title? You got it, you turned it on, you really sat back for a second and said, wow? Keep remembering, because this title is not going to replace that one. It's not the art direction, which, though reduced to a stunningly low polygon count for next generation systems, and with an anti-aliasing system that's apparently using the trademark phrase nothing to see here, at times the game's locations can actually look great, like the Asian Love Hotel I went in and stabbed a bunch of people's kidneys in, or the cool biker bar with the neon signs above the bar and the dancing girls near the pool tables. I mean it when I say some of the levels have a very elegant, if ultimately short-lived design to them, and though small, they have a tangible atmosphere I actually enjoyed exploring. Except for the biker bar's giant demon head urinals in the men's room. I'm not sure what that meant, but basically peeing into a demon's O-face is one experience I'm happy to not have replicated in a game yet. Also, the fact that randomly, when changing uniforms, my character would just wear both hats was not only laughable, it just showed how awesome I was. I didn't need to take off a hat. Hell, I'll take 2. Nothing like getting killed by someone wearing his last victim's headgear. But really, for me, the cake is the fact that the levels run at a frame rate that would make electric wheelchair races look blistering. I mean, it's beyond how bad this game runs. It also froze 2 times, or maybe it just went from less than the 30 frames per second it normally ran out down to like 0, and I just didn't give it a chance to continue. It's sad really, because as I said, the level design is actually cool when not running like stop motion animation, but the levels themselves are stunningly small. And the characters look like WWE 2015 creator wrestlers with faces that are either Botoxed into oblivion or their emotions are ironed out while in the forge of character creation. I mean it. This is a doll maker's fantasy, and most kids stay up and pee yourself kind of nightmare. That's ignoring the time I came into a level and every single character's eyes were bugged out of their heads and huge, like they'd all seen some serious Elder God crap right before I walked in and were just too damn stunned to do anything but stand there. The game is just a mess graphically. If characters weren't having mesh errors while dancing provocatively with bad animations, the world was suddenly forgetting that only in Japan do elevators sometimes not need doors, and occasionally they just wouldn't appear while riding elevators, not only allowing for some next level hijinks, but basically making you realize that your entire world is supported by nothing but the level below it. Graphically, it's just all over the place, and for every good texture or unique location, the game continually reminds you how bad of a world it is now that Ray Harryhausen has died. Sound, music, and voice. Okay, so stabbing people sounds fairly stabby, and without getting arrested, I can say it does indeed sound close, while guns lack anything but the most negligible of low ends, including the .45 caliber, which, when fired inside a room, would be like clapping both your ears with your palms as hard as you could. Additionally, most cutscene sounds are obviously recorded in some kind of strange office environment, and not a Foley room, and everything sounds too far away from the mic, or too near it, and lacks any real adherence to the sonic spectrum. Just really poor sound. And that brings us to music. Look, Mom, it's Opposites Day. I dug it. Seriously, the sounds may be bad, but from the more classical and haunting sounds of the first location to the unique blends of music inside the hotel level, and even the country piping out of the jukebox in the biker bar, if there's anything this game has and gets right, it's the music. Very well done and period correct. Really, really enjoyed it. Voice. It's bad. It's not only missing any emotional resonance, it's like people saying we're all going to die while reading a cookbook or discussing purled ladder stitch patterns. It's just flat emotionless, and strangely, it doesn't seem like it needs to be. It's obviously they got the right number of people to do the voices, and they had the time. And the damn game was in development since like 2009 or 2013, but sadly, no. The voices don't sound at all like they were recorded in the locations they're supposed to be, and in fact, many times there are odd tonal issues with samples during gameplay that remain from the location it was originally performed in. Imagine talking to someone in a hallway, but the sound samples like it's recorded in a bathroom, and you get the picture. Voice is bad. Gameplay. So a little bit about story. Here's the thing. You play as Agent Simeon, who gets referred to as Agent Alekhine through the game after a specific time, just because someone thought it was cool and they hinted a possible family tie to that premier chess player. Regardless of this name switch, you basically play out a series of missions as a double agent, many of them flashbacks and most somewhere in the mid-1900s, bouncing between Cuba and America in a jet-setting spree of choking, stabbing, slicing, sabotaging, and stealthing your way to victory. Jumping both locations and time frames with relative ease, the cutscenes spin a narrative path in front of you that I would graciously call passable. Each level, though not large, is largely non-linear, which means you start out at the starting picking out some weapons. Now, these weapons can be upgraded and changed out with points you get from successfully completing prior missions. Once you have your items, you're unceremoniously dumped into the level, given some objectives, and then it's you and the world. In many ways, this is when gun is the strongest, letting you look around, fumble through the world, and discover what works and what doesn't. Like its predecessors in Hitman as well, changing uniforms for the location is the name of the game here, and what worked in a military barracks is going to look mighty odd when you're in an old-time Russian firehouse. Usually missions are to kill someone and perhaps gather some items, and it's up to you to perform those. What's nice in some maps is that they have additional ways to kill the target, like finding suicide poison in a Nazi safe to use on someone well before they thought of killing themselves, and toasting someone by rewiring their guitar, giving all new meaning to soul music. It's this non-linearity that spoke to me while playing the game, and I love trying out new things, dying, trying something new, and dying again. Different difficulties adjust the AI, damage, and other factors, and it can really actually extend the gameplay a good amount. Another thing I liked is that the mission objectives were mixed up, and though a couple felt the same, there were a few interesting ones here and there. Sadly, there's still more wrong in this world of lithium swimming voice actors and missing elevator doors. The AI? It's glorious, and I mean that, if glorious meant absolutely crap and worthless. I've killed folks in front of them, then dressed as their friend, to which the soldier must have simply said, that makes sense to me, and walked off. I've killed over 12 soldiers in a conga line of death as each came to investigate the body I'd left in the doorway like peanut butter on a rat trap, each artificial but not so intelligent bad guy putting their neck right into the trap, one after the other after the other. Now that doesn't mean they're weak or without bite. When enemies get you in a crossfire, it's usually game over pretty fast, and sometimes they followed me longer than most AI in other video games. But they also promptly shrugged their shoulders and high-fived one another and said, I bet he's gone, when I leapt into a sewer grate right in front of them. I mean it. These guys are Arrow TV show level baddies at their best days. As a third-person game, though, I felt it controlled adequately, though there's a small but noticeable input delay on movements. It didn't cause me issues, as this game is very much not one of those kind of type of games, but it is there. Now, while weapons run happily small when it comes to number, you could upgrade them, and let's be honest, piano wire, a good knife, and some chloroform is probably a spy killer's best friend anyway. Fun factor. When this game wasn't reminding me of shore leave in the 1980s and all the shots I had to get when I got back from those special visits to far-off lands, the plain fact of it is, I enjoyed a great deal of this game. A great deal of it. And I fought the frame rate and laughed at the poor quality of anything outside the main level and enjoyed teasing the AI that seemed hell-bent on proving that artificial intelligence could be created with only 4 lines of programming code and a wish. But the core gameplay was actually enjoyable. I also enjoyed replaying a couple of the levels, and I loved figuring out the little puzzles for the guitar bombs or which outfit would let me into what place. I didn't enjoy fighting the strangely delayed shut doors button, but that goes in the same pile as the other stuff I had to endure to play this title. Deep down inside, there's gobs of problems. There's also a playable and enjoyable game underneath all that shit. So as you know, I rate games on a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touched again rating scale. This is a rent. Sorry folks, the game has some gameplay chops, and just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean it's worth getting. It's rife with technical issues, the likes of which many release games would never be allowed to be released with. Listen, no developer goes out there and tries to make a bad game. This isn't the X-Files on a playground, and that mentality of paranoia is flatly stupid. But it's also very sad to see a game released in this form, as it means no one wins. This game needs to bake more, and if it does, I'll come back and re-review it. So as always, I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe come join us on Reddit, check out our Patreon. If you don't, thumbs down. Peace out.